Hey everyone, Julian Vanderwall here, your host of the Business Profit Mastery podcast. Our first episode is with Brett Campbell, who I've known for over a decade, co-founder of Claxton, and now there's a new stimulus package that he's putting $500,000 into small business after this COVID little thing is finished, which is now for small businesses here in the country. They just won the Australia and New Zealand's best digital marketing agency. And also he is a best-selling author as well as a speaker and serial entrepreneur. Have the absolute pleasure of bringing him to you. We talk about a whole range of different things on this episode. We talk about what makes Claxton different, how you can actually be successful in the current landscape and what's changed over the last 10 years, as well as a whole lot of other things. We get deep inside his school and what made him to be the business owner that he is today, as well as what's going to help you drive your business forward and what the 3 non-negotiables that he thinks you're going to need in business to be successful as of today and moving your business forward. Hope you enjoy it. Now, the start of this one's a little bit strange. We actually just started talking, and obviously with COVID going on, that was a very, very hot topic for all of us, and especially in the business world. Obviously, we started talking that, so let's jump into the conversation midway through, only because that wasn't part of what we were going to speak about, but it was an amazing outcome for what I thought was a very, very off-the-cuff conversation. So let's join it now. Hope you enjoy. It's been a little bit, there's ups and downs, not as bad as other businesses. We haven't really been affected that much. To be honest, it's actually been quite good, really, in solar. So more people are wanting it. They got a little bit more time on their hands to kind of get those little bit of extra things done and dusted. So, yeah, there's been no change for us at all outside of a few little hiccups here and there. But, yeah, what about you guys?
Mate, yeah, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. Obviously, we're lucky. We've got a vast portfolio and some different industries, and some obviously been massively affected where they just had to shut the doors and haven't been able to do any form of revenue over that period. And so we've been trying to support them as best as possible, and whilst trying to support ourselves and the team. And we've come through it, nicely. We've taken some massive action, and without taking that, obviously things would have been a lot different. So mate, I'm always the ultimate optimist anyway. I always look at these. I secretly like these challenges. I'm quite sick when it comes to that stuff. It's actually reinvigorated me and my passion for business again. And not that I've lost it, but I turned it up a couple of gears, and and it's nice solving problems.
Nice, man. Well,
sometimes I'd like to take a bit of a break of problems, but they keep bloody finding me. I put it out there.
Well, I think that's really the true test of an entrepreneur. Really, it's the way they enjoy those moments, and it's the way they rise to the occasion, as opposed to feeling the blame. I definitely know, you probably seen on my Facebook, there's been definitely a lot of frustrations for me from the start. And, in a moment like this, when they're crippling businesses left, right and center, there needs to be logic and a lot of it. Otherwise, it's really not helping anyone. When you have 5 at a wedding and 10 at a funeral, it's like, that's not helping.
All I can say is, I've been following it pretty closely and looking at it and trying to be very
unemotional,
middle of the road and unbiased and trying to see it from all angles. And I'll tell you what, man, it's a tough thing to try and sort out.
Yeah, definitely.
Like unbelievably tough.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone, like any of the government officials wanting to shut down an economy, but then I feel it would be very different if it was just a singular country. Like because you're being judged in like Sweden, how big are their balls? Like really? They have cojones the size of anything, basically just saying, you know what, we're not even going to listen to the majority of the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to roll with our own, methodology. Now, still, who knows how that is going to end up, but it's a roll of the dice. You look at Jacinda from New Zealand. I said Jacinda Campbell, didn't I? She's not Jacinda. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe I think I'm married.
Maybe you should run for Prime Minister.
Actually, isn't there a singer called Jacinda Campbell or someone? I don't know. Someone. Anyway, Jacinda Ardern, right? I mean, she took the hard stance. She shut down the country before Australia was even shut down, and they shut down the country before they even had a death.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge, man. Like we got a number of clients over there, and I was sitting on the phone at like 10, 11 o'clock at night discussing, what are you going to do now with there's not even couriers allowed. Like you can't even ship your products out of the country. I was like, what? Like that's just whew, that's slamming on the brakes.
Yeah, that's pretty full on. Obviously, there's no good decision, that's for sure. And the right decision in hindsight always looks way better. But unfortunately, it's there and then under the situation with the information given. And the hard thing is the information that's provided, facts or fiction. It's quite hard to distinguish what's real and what's not, you know.
That's the hardest thing and the saddest thing about this whole situation. Like there's people who I actually have been following, and there's someone that I would generally take what they say as a source of truth, like getting towards the truth. Like they're not out there to spread lies and so forth. And mate, the amount of shit that I've seen being passed through and passed around, and if I just was a headline reader, and didn't dig deeper, didn't go, oh, wait on, it's believable. I can see how what you're saying is believable, right? But then you're like, well, maybe I should go and do a little bit of my own research because it's my responsibility to actually find out as well. You can't just take face value off what everyone else is saying. And some people have lost credibility in my eyes because I'm like, wow, like that is an absolutely blatant outright lie and you're spreading shit and this is the problem. And you're a smart person. I expect that from the Twitter trolls and the people who, have really no idea and they're headline readers.
Yeah.
But it's tough, man, because who do you believe?
Yeah. And even the legit stuff, you have to question that sometimes because is there an underlying message or is there an ulterior motive? Is there some subplots coming? And you're thinking, like you said, I definitely have got caught up on the tinfoil hat. It's going crazy, I mean, I think you and I posted a few things on each other, and it's like, well, is this actually true? And where's the credibility coming from? And because it's all plausible.
And anyone can you can fine tune a narrative.
Yeah.
Right. You can fine tune a narrative to get the outcome that you want without a lot of work. Because you can spin anything. Like even to the point where, like, if I hear another conversation around the high-speed railway that they're trying to put in Australia and fucking 5G, I'm gonna go crazy, right? Because like you look at it, but you're like all of a sudden someone puts up a picture of a train line that they're proposing, whether or not that's the actual proposed train line or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see it sort of around straight through the fire area, and you're like, geez, that's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But there's easier ways to get things done than create a world virus and devastating fires that burn like crazy, right?
The fire one, I checked out of that one. I was like, yeah, look, I'm easily, not naively, but I can easily buy into some plausibility parts of different models and theories. That one, I'll tap out of that one. I'll take my hat out of that one. So I think that to burn half of Australia for a railway track that's 10 meters wide, I think it's a bit excessive.
Even 5G, and I just need a premises. I'm not an expert at this stuff either, so this is why I avoid the public, like when I say public, the debates online, because it's like my knowledge on a lot of it will tap out quite quickly. And I don't want to just say something because I feel right. Or it's just my opinion or I feel right. But something I heard the other day, actually, it might have been Dave Rubin or Ben Shapiro say this, that literally, it's like 1% to 2% of people even comment on social media around these type of topics. So the majority of the people, we don't we're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Why would you even say that, you idiot? But guess what? We feed it because we're reading it going, oh, fuck, what's this going to start? Oh, all of it. Someone's going to say something back to you. Yeah, go for it. You know, and it's like we're in the old days and we're sitting in the bloody Coliseum, you know, waving our hands going, get him, down, thumb down. Like, it's fucking crazy now. It's a freaky world that we're living in right now. Because what is true? What is true or not?
Yep.
And what got me was the whole Donald Trump. So this is where I really started to follow this stuff is, you know, when I started following his president candidacy in 2016.
Yeah.
And seeing how media portrays certain things. Like it is clear and it's evident to me that Donald Trump is a very interesting human being. He does some seriously dumb shit and says some seriously dumb stuff, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the media headlines, I don't believe, even come close and remotely warrant the real outcome of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it just feels like every single thing right now, no matter what, no matter how true, there's an opposing view.
Yeah.
Just as powerful, and it's.
Yeah. Well, I remember the Liberal Labor elections when it was, I think Howard was in, or I think Rudd was trying to get in, or something like that. And the only thing that Liberal were doing, Labor would just say, that's rubbish. Liberal, it's like, so you've got no policies whatever at all, and you're just opposing whatever everyone else says. It's like, that's not really helpful to make a decision to move forward and lead the country. Just, that's not very good. So what do you actually have? What can you bring to the table? Debate. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Constant debate of clickbait.
Yeah.
Right? We just live in a world of clickbait because that's what's driving the media. Yeah. But here's something interesting, man. The power of social media and the power of these big tech companies. Like, the only way we are able to communicate right now is through social media.
Yeah, that's right.
And these like, here we can have a conversation, but social media is where majority of it happens. Now, Facebook's got 2.6 billion users now, right? 2.6 billion, 1.7 daily, right? 1.7 billion daily active users on that. And we are showing certain pieces of content. You're showing certain posts, and you just think it's normal. You just think that everyone out there is seeing this sort of stuff. But no, you've got your own very unique set of circumstances of ads, and even your friends and things that you're connected with. You know, like I've got 5,000 Facebook friends, right? So my Facebook profile is full. But, mate, I might only see 50 people's posts
at best
on a bit of a round robin. Like, you got to look at it and go, we are really, and I don't look too deep into this unless, you know, I'm having these type of conversations because I think it's really interesting, but because there's no answer. It's all just speculation.
No. Yeah, that's right.
It's like, oh, these guys are trying to put this narrative in front of you, or this one is like, you know, with YouTube now saying anyone who disagrees with the World Health Organization, we're going to pull your video down. It's like, that's a big call.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Basically saying if you disagree with this organization, which has got to be swayed by something, right? Specific countries. I mean, crying out loud, where does this all end?
Yeah, it's definitely, we haven't seen the end of it. That's for sure. This is just the beginning, because pre this, it was all good because it's not going to get the reach that it would have previously. But now, when you look at those posts, you know, anti-World Health Organization, there's more likes than dislikes, right? So more people that are into this stuff is actually posting and, you know, getting that message out there as fast and wide as possible, getting more bandwidth. So
negativity grows, man. Negativity creates that dopamine drip as well. It's a feeder. Like, I even just admitted to it. It's like sometimes I'm seeing posts, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a train wreck, but I'm going to, you know, that meme of Michael Jackson sitting there eating the popcorn. Yeah. It's like, you post sometimes you're like, this is going to cause an argument, or this is going to be crazy. And
or
you
the
sort
Homer.
of strap on in.
The Homer one that goes back into the bush.
Yeah. Like, I'll still be here.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure something interesting can be said.
Yeah.
But it's a never ending battle.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a blessing, but it's like how as soon as the government start regulating how we can communicate, then that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think that's really. It seems like that. There's a few subplots just to a simple flu, and that's where I feel where things are not. When they say it won't be the same, Fauci is basically saying, when we come out of this, it won't be the same. It's not because it's not going to be the reasons that we think or what most think. It's not because of vaccines. That is one thing, but there's going to be a lot other subplots underneath that. We're not going to return as the same world as it was pre COVID-19.
Well, here's the hysteria in that line, right? Of course, it's not going to be. Tomorrow's not going to be the same as today.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right. So there's facts in it. Of course, it's factual. Yeah. The world's never going to be the same. We're never going to be the same because we've just learnt and gone through something that has equipped us right now with a whole new set of tools.
Yeah.
Like I've armored up. I've got a whole new set of tools in my collection right now that I'm going to be able to use moving forward. It's people's perception on what's being said. Yeah, like when you hear the words, "Oh, the world's never going to be the same," that sounds scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Right. For most people, because every day people wake up and they need certainty, man. People need certainty.
Yeah.
The reason why this is such a scary thing for people is it's the uncertainty. It's the, oh no, this is different. This week's going to be different. I don't know what's coming. People like plans, man. Yeah, people like to know when, people need to know when things are happening because it creates a level of comfort and a level of certainty.
Yeah.
People like me, and why I said I'm sick in this aspect, is I actually quite like uncertain times.
Yeah,
because it's that sort of adventurer, right? I like to, not that I want to be out in the middle of the ocean, but I assume it like I'm out on the ocean. I'm on the search. Like I don't need to know land's there. I know it's somewhere, and I'm just searching for it. So it's that exciting component to it, right?
You don't have enough kids. You don't have any kids. You got more energy.
Well, I've got two dogs.
Yeah. If you had some kids in there, you'll need some certainty because you're fucking tired.
Hey, they'll be right next to me, I'm telling you. The point there, though, right, is it's people are not comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we have lived in a world, in all the years that I've been here, we've lived in a very, very certain world.
And the light
goes green, you drive. The light goes red, you stop.
Yeah.
Right? You do X, you'll generally get Y.
Mm.
When this happened, no one knew. In a lot of people's minds, and I'll say even in my own mind, I had some times of reflection where I was like, and I'm talking like this is the past, right? Like this has already passed through because I've sort of moved on from it now, like.
So last week.
The hysteria, the climactic moment has passed, I believe, right?
That's right, yeah.
Which allows now people to start moving forward mentally, knowing that still things are going to be different and change and all of that shit. But I just feel that people have been faced with so much uncertainty right now that they've never, ever felt anything like this. Like you see people when they're like, oh, my God, the Facebook ads manager's changed, or, that my Facebook profile looks different. I don't like it because I'm not used to it. I like to go and press this button, that button, and know exactly where I'm going. Like you go and change the apps on someone's homepage of their phone.
Yeah.
It'll create anxiety because you're like, oh, where's that app again? Now I've got to stop and think and use my brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're on autopilot, man. People don't like change.
Yeah.
So of course this has been scary, but to the point of the media has made this like the first week this happened, mate, I watched probably more news in that first week on actual TV news than I had in the last 5 years, right? Probably 10 years combined. And I felt myself getting to a point where I was like, man, this could be a huge problem for the world. Like we could lose millions of people. Wow, this is scary. What am I going to? And then I found myself buying into that, right? But I was like, what's this based off? And it was again, the sad thing was a lot of it was coming from government. Yeah. And you look to government as a source of truth. It's like if you go to your doctor, you expect your doctor almost like, as a kid, I thought a doctor knows everything, right? So you expect the truth from your doctor. Your government, you think they would know insights and all of this to, way more than what I know.
Yeah.
So to
Lead us,
protect
serve
us,
us. Yeah.
it's like if you run up to a cop here in Australia, you would almost expect that if you come running up to a cop and go, "Help me, they're chasing me," you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know, there's countries where you would never run up to a cop.
Yeah.
So like,
America.
Exactly.
Like, they're the ones chasing you.
Yeah. But we've got so much certainty, especially in Australia and majority of the world, there's so much certainty that when it's flipped upside down and people don't know, and your people that you go to for certainty, right? Like I'm a source of certainty for a lot of people, right? Like our team, they obviously want to seek certainty, right? If I was freaking out and, you know, shit ain't working, we're going to all lose our jobs, and like that would cause hysteria.
Yeah.
You could almost assume to our team, other than working home, that nothing has even happened. Like work's been as per usual. It's been a bit different with some clients and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
They're well aware of it, but they feel very comfort driven, right? They've got comfort in it.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of people who have been certain have now become uncertain. And it's sort of created the ripple-on effect to people who are always uncertain. They would be feeling like fucking not knowing what to do in their life right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when that's why I really think Scott Morrison's done a great job, because he's come across very certain. He's been very thorough and I believe in the way in which he's tried to communicate. And in times of uncertainty, you need certain people, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
like I said, there's nothing. There's no you know, round boardroom table planning that can even get around this sort of thing, because
no one knows.
You know, no one's been through this before, so there's no book about it. You know, fires and floods, we've been through them plenty of times, so there should be a rule and there should be a standard operating procedure, SOP, around those sorts of things. But this one is slightly different. You know what I mean? It is.
It's what it's done though. I look at this as this is just a dress rehearsal. Like depending on where you're getting your data from, it's quite easy to sort of lean on the fence of I think there's been some major overreactions. Major, like to the point where I'm like, fuck, this is pretty. Like someone's been sold some cobwebs, you know. Like this just doesn't feel right. But the government had to base off what they got their information from. And look, it's okay to assume something's going to be bad and it actually finds out to be good. I'd much rather that than they go, everyone continue on as usual, this is fine, and then we all die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So no matter what decision was made, people wouldn't be happy with it. A lot of people wouldn't be happy with it. Yeah. But this is a dress rehearsal for now we know what we need to do in this case. Now we know how to shut down a country. Now we know how to lock something down. Like if what I would be looking at right now is let's open up the economy again, right? Let's open it up, back up, see what happens, get people testing, like just do a whole lot of testing. And again, I'm not an expert at this, right? There's so many things that come. It's easy to say, just get a whole lot of testing. And then you're like, Brett, you don't know fucking how many tests we need, what we've got. I get all that, right? But this is just me throwing out my 2 cents.
25 million tests seems logically. Easy, right?
Of course. Hey, someone should have been able to create an app right now where we can spit on our phone.
Lick the phone.
Spit on my phone and the iPhone goes, you don't have COVID, right? but I think right now is...
Surely we know some app developers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's actually an app being created, and this is a side note. Have you heard of Peter Diamandis? So X Prize. So he created the X Prize and a number of other companies.
Yeah, sure.
But he has a company called X Prize, and X Prize was actually what brought Virgin Galactic to the marketplace.
Okay.
So X Prize creates, world solving problems, like problems that they put out and put out to tender to whoever wants to enter into it. Here's the task. Here's what you need to do. Go away and create it. So, for example, Virgin Galactic, the task was to be able to create an aircraft that can take 2 people or something out of orbit and back. Right? That was sort of the task, give or take a lot more detail than that.
Yeah.
But there was 100 or so businesses vie for this, and they put up a $10 million prize, right, for the winning team. Right. There was 100 groups that started, and they ended up finding one that was successful, and they ended up winning the prize. And the $10 million, the X Prize actually try and find people to fund it. And they actually went to Richard Branson and asked, would you fund the X Prize? It's $10 million. And he said no. And I believe they asked him like twice and he said no. And they ended up finding a family called the Ansari. So the X Prize was called the Ansari X Prize. That's what it's named after. But what happened was as soon as that aircraft come back and it had been successful, Richard Branson came in and bought the rights to it. Virgin Galactic. So he didn't do shit, but I love it. It's such a good story. But the point is, this X Prize company, one of the other things that they've got a number of different projects. One of them was to try and create an app that can self-diagnose you as well as a GP.
Oh, wow.
Right? Fucking game changer when that happens.
Yeah. No point going to medicine for 13 years, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm a doctor today too, mate. Just spit on my iPhone. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Start again. Oh, you look like you've got tuberculosis. Oh, no, maybe the app's wrong. I don't know. Fuck it. Right. There'll be some issues with that. But
low battery.
Yeah. But the thing there is this is a dress rehearsal, right? And I think that looking at the numbers and so forth that we've got, the detriment to the economy, because there's so many factors at play here. There's the detriment to the economy, which is massively severe right now. Yeah. Massive. Because whilst they say they're giving money to businesses, which is fantastic, businesses haven't been paid yet. You know what I mean? You've had to run this for the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, probably up to 6 weeks for some businesses. Yeah. If you don't have the cash flow to get you through that 6 weeks, then you're probably out of business, right? Yeah. Regardless if they come to you and pay you some money later down the track, you're like, well, yeah, I don't really have a business anymore. Yeah. But the risk versus reward would be to open it back up. Let's see how we go for 2 weeks. Let's put ourselves on weekend restrictions maybe, right? Or curfew to start with, but allow business to go back and people to operate throughout the day. If we can reduce half the amount of time that people are out and about, we can sort of slowly bring it back, you know what I mean? Versus we need to wait for a month and then we'll bang, here's everyone back to it type scenario. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing to try and deal with. I could only imagine the cabinet meetings. Yeah. I know what it's like in a company with a leadership group where everyone's got opinions. Yeah, that's right. If you've got a whole cabinet, you got 100 people sitting in cabinet going, I disagree. I think we should do this. I think we should do that. Well, they're all great ideas. Which one should we do? Well, I don't know.
And you've got the left and then got the hard right. So, you know what I mean? Like you've got guys that want to open up from the economy point of view that want to go like, guys, this is costing too much money. And then you've got the lefties, obviously from the social point of view that are worried about, everyone else involved within that. And then you've got the people in the middle. So, yeah, there's definitely not an easy one. I do think that they need to open up fairly. If they can shut down in a day or the weekend, they need to really open things up fairly quickly because the drag is really,
and if it's planned like that, where it's like, okay, here's what we're going to attempt to do, guys. Yeah. I know there's 20% of you that are going to be absolute dickheads and abuse us, just like a lot of people down at Burley Hill in the weekend, just like packed like a swarm of people.
Really?
Like, oh my gosh. Right? But you're going to get people like that.
Yeah, but Bondi was one thing, wasn't it, in Sydney?
Yeah, that's right.
In the heart of it,
Yeah, but what do? You say, yeah, you're allowed out now. Well, except for you. Anyone with the name, ending in Z can up for the day. You know what I mean? It's like an outright lottery.
All the Croatians are in.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's, like I said, well, I was saying that it's a dress rehearsal and we need to be able to be prepared. Businesses now need to be able to prepare. Businesses now need to go, well, maybe, and again, it's the flip of the coin, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to change everything I'm doing right now based off this. Or do you just sort of be a little bit more aware about it and be a bit more aware about the potential signs of it? It's hard for any fast growth business who's wanting to grow and scale quickly to sit with a 3-month cash flow in their bank.
That's right. Well, usually,
you're like, well, shit, we got $100,000 sitting there. Why would we not spend that on this to make another $500,000? When it's like it's a double-edged sword, and this is why the government's had to sort of step in. There's not many cash-rich businesses with a lot of cash in the bank, especially if you're still growing and growing and growing.
And if you look at the way it all happened, 2019 for most people that I know was pretty tough. It was a very, very tough year. 2018 was one thing. 2019 seemed to be, the savior, and then it did absolutely fuck all for most businesses. And most people that I spoke to was like, wow, I did not expect that. And then they had the fires, and then they had the floods, and then this. It's like 2020 was like, that's it. We're pumped. We're motivated. I can feel the vibe. The earth has crossed the moon, and the fucking cows are walking backwards up the hill now, which is awesome, which is exactly what we needed. And all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. And you're thinking, okay, this somehow potentially for some is actually worse than 2019, and that was the worst we were in 10 years,
Here's the beautiful thing of it, though, man. I think what it's done is that if people are being honest with themselves, if people take a moment to be honest with themselves, it's provided the ultimate reset.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many people in jobs that aren't happy. You may have just lost it. Don't go and do yourself a bloody, a detriment to your detriment again by going back to that job if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to go find the exact same job because that's what you know how to do, but you don't like it. There's no other universal sign that you can be given to go, hey, when are you ever going to be faced with this ever again?
Or hopefully never.
Hopefully never. Correct. Even businesses, like, I ran a couple of webinars and someone was on there and she's like, oh, what do you think I should do to get back into her tourism business?
Yeah.
She said, what should I be doing to grow that back up? And I'm like, do you even want to be in there? And she goes, no, I actually don't enjoy it. I said, well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, don't do anything. Go and figure out something else.
Yeah. Now's a good downtime. It's
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I think the big problem is with people and when it comes to change? I feel that there's almost a level of guilt around change, especially in Australia, I think, right? And we almost feel like you're doing what you're doing and you've got to sort of stick at it and you've got to sort of see it through, and it's that sort of finish mentality, or it's like, I can't leave because no one else will be able to do my job, or, this or that or that. It's like, you could change tomorrow. Like COVID could come out and all of a sudden you got no business, but you're going to try and work hard and push back to get that business back up.
Yeah.
I just feel people put a lot of responsibility on themselves to stick at something. And I speak from personal experience. Initially, I did this when I became an apprentice. So I left high school, kicked out of high school, and the only job going was the apprenticeship. So I was like, I might as well do that, right? And it was a 4-year apprenticeship, right? That's what apprenticeships are. I knew from day one it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was like, this is I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life. But it was just sort of might as well. I had nothing else to do. I had to see it through. And, it was the old mentality back in the day where my mum was like, well, just, stick at it. And it's at the end of the day, you'll be able to come out of it with a certificate.
Something to fall back on.
Something to fall back on, son. I'm like, cool. I know for certain right now I'll never go build another kitchen. But I did learn a lot from it, right?
Yeah.
We can always justify it by going, it was great. But there's so many people doing things that they don't want to be doing right now. And this is the universe saying to you, hey, just wanted to check in. Is this still what you want to be doing? Just putting it out there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, holding on to things that aren't meant to be held on to, from relationships to, maybe weight could be one thing, fitness goals, or those sorts of things where it's actually not true to yourself. And I definitely should have got out of my business in 2016, held on to it till 2019, rebuilt it twice from zero, 2017 and 2018. And then I thought, fuck this, I'm out. But the guilt and, bang on that, the guilt and the lack of loss of identity and, who am I anymore? Because you connected 10 years of that company and built it from zero, knocking on doors, and built a, 7-figure business out of knocking on doors with a black folder. And then when you leave, when it's gone, you're like, wow, I as much personal development as, you and I have both done, it actually still felt like shit, I don't even know myself. Know thyself, right?
Because it's like you said, it was the connection. You wrap your identity up in it.
Mm.
You are not your business. You are not your brand. You are not your logo. You are not your customer or your team. You're you, and you need the more congruent you can be with yourself, man. Like, but I get it. I understand. It's a hard thing to pack on up and leave.
Yeah.
You know, or even sell something off. Or I guess when you sell a business, so it gives you that sort of sense of accomplishment. It's almost like a finish mark, like a finish line.
That's right. Exactly. When the door gets shut on you, it's a bit different. You know, at least when you sell it, you can move on from it, and you kind of look back and go, okay, that was built up for whatever the price was. Usually probably not as much. Most businesses would definitely not get what they were planning to do 10 years ago, right?
Sure.
You know, if they close down a business and if they sold it for the stock, the wholesale stock price, a retail outlet, for
instance. Sell it for $1.
10 years, it's like...
you know, like, no, I've built and sold lots of businesses. I sold it for $1.
Yeah.
You still get your certificate, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, man, obviously, but going back on the original, you know, back a couple of steps, how did you get started in what you've done? Let's go back, because we touched on it, and I've got obviously a list of things that I want to run through and dig deep into Brett Campbell and who he is and how he got to where he is. Then I want to go through some of the successes and those things. I didn't actually have a plan to go through COVID, but it's kind of impossible not to. It really is, you know.
Oh, mate, it's valuable. It's right now. I think it's some good insights already that I hope people can draw from. Do you know what I mean? It's important to hear other people speak about it, because a lot of people don't have an outlet to even speak about it to someone.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, that's right. Especially now, you know, unless you're getting your information from Twitter or Facebook or posts, and it's nice to actually hear people have conversations about it, but don't believe everything someone's saying.
No, do your own research. Exactly. Yeah. You know, don't be blind either way, whichever way, you know, from the government point of view, from the other side of things. I think
more importantly, yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't let yourself blind yourself.
Yeah.
See what you need to do right now. Most people already have the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do. We already know. You already knew you needed to shut your business down a couple of years earlier. But
2016 was when I should have walked away with all the money that I had and sat on that for 6 months and did nothing, and, you know, I don't know, smoke weed and work out some epiphany out of it. I don't know. whatever works, you know.
But here's the other part to that, right? Just to finish on that before we move in, is a lot of people, and you see this in relationships, a lot of people in relationships do tend to go from one relationship to another, or one of the partners already starting to see someone, because that's their exit strategy. It's like, I can't leave without knowing what's next. This goes back into certainty, right? I need certainty that someone is going to be there for me, right? So the thought for some people going, I'm just going to sit, I've got money in the bank, I don't need to work for a couple of years, I could do nothing. But the anxiety of that uncertainty of not knowing what's next for some people would be like, I can't do it.
Guilty.
Right? Exactly.
It's so not natural, because when you bust your ass, you know, I was in the kitchen before that, then I was cycling before that in school. So you go from school to kitchen to sales to building a company, and that's 10 years. That's, you know, literally 20 years as of this year. You know, when you're thinking of, let's say, 15 to 20 years of 70 hours a week, you know, having the restaurant, and then we sold that 10 years ago now, and then moving into sales and then learning that skill set, and then working 70 hours a week, and then to do nothing is like, I don't know what that feels like, but I'm getting used to that. I'm actually quite enjoying having not the pressures of the company, and actually enjoying having some sales contracting work that I'm doing at the moment, which is actually a lot of fun compared to running the company. It's fairly easy. Of course, there's some bullshit that comes along with it, but that's everything does. But yeah, actually enjoying not having to have responsibility, and actually, in actual fact, last year as opposed to this year, to running especially face-to-face campaigns, you couldn't do it. So literally the door would have been absolutely slammed shut on me this year. And what would have happened if I had have kept on going last year, rebuilt it, and then it got slammed shut again, and then I really would have thought I should have done it.
How much punishment do you need?
Yeah. Just stand up and let's get hit again. It's like, all right, where's the white towel? I'm out. Like 3 years, man. Come on. I've had enough. So yeah. So mate, let's get into, how did you get into this little path? Obviously didn't do that well at school. We touched on it just before. Got kicked out of school, I think you said.
Actually, let me rephrase it. I did really well at school. I was just a fucking talkative kid who got kicked out.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So cool. I don't want you to frame me as a dumbass.
No. I might have paraphrased what you said, so I might have just added a bit of sensationalism to it. I've been watching too much of mainstream media.
I just said I got kicked out, so you automatically assumed that because I got kicked out, I didn't do good.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just going by the way you speak. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So kicked out of school?
My last year, I went into the last year of high school, and I was, it was sort of at that time where, like, I was trying to find my identity.
Yeah.
That was sort of the first time where I'm like, what do I even want to do? Because now I've got to start thinking, I've got a year of school left. And because when I was in school, I was just in school for the moment. I loved it. I was good at woodwork, PE, and lunch. So my seventh form year, which is our last year of high school, I took up woodwork, I took up PE, and I definitely took up lunch. And the rest of the subjects, I was just like, I don't see value in this, like maths and even physics. I was like, I don't, now I'm interested in physics, but back then I was like, I don't care about physics, chemistry, all of that shit. Like, that's not really going to help me right now because I've got zero interest towards it, but I still had to do those classes. So I would always talk and just muck around in those classes until they asked me to leave, and I was like, whoa, really? Like, I was like, I promise I'll be good. Like, I was like, this can't be real. Like, Brett, I've never visioned in my life up until then being kicked out. Like, only the bad kids or the kids who didn't do really well got kicked out. And I was like, what the? Hence why you've labelled me already. But
well, there's a big difference between getting kicked out of school because you're talking too much than smoking behind the sports sheds.
Yeah, they didn't catch me at the sports sheds.
Yeah.
That wasn't on my rap. But yeah, man, there was an apprenticeship going around. My sister was actually dating a guy, and his dad owned a joinery factory in town, and she goes, he's looking for apprentices. I said, I'll go and see him. And went in and seen him. At that time, I was earning $5.50 working at Shell petrol station after school, pumping gas. And I ended up taking an apprenticeship for $4.95 an hour. I took a pay cut, man. I was like, this is terrible. I'm already earning shit money. I'm taking a pay cut to go and work 50 hours a week in a cold factory.
Still 10%, man. That's a lot. 10%, 11%. That's a big pay cut.
I'm telling you. It was huge.
You wouldn't want to do that now, would you?
No. But I said I knew from day one it wasn't for me. I just knew it was not what I wanted to do, but it was the only thing that I had available. So I did it, though. And one thing, though, that I hold true is everything I do, I try and do it at the best of my ability, even if I don't like it, right? So from day one, I said to my boss, where we walk in to the factory, he goes, give me the orientation. I said to him, who's the best in here? Like, who's the best and who gets paid the most? And he goes, Baz. I said, Baz. Where's he? He's down the back. I said, cool. He goes, I said, I'll go and learn from Baz. He goes, no, you won't. Baz doesn't like apprentices. So I was like, bugger. Right. So I said, who's the second best? And he goes, Ty or George, two other guys. I said, okay, I'll go and learn from them. Anyway, from day one, though, I was like, I need to be best friends with Baz because I need to be close to Baz. I need to figure out what Baz knows because he's earning the most money here. Right. And I want to earn the most money. So it was always that drive of income and money and stuff. Yeah. And, was definitely a big motive for me, and also to be the best. And, I could go down many different tangents here, but literally did everything I could to learn from Baz. And it got to a point where 3 years later, I walk into the boss's office and said, hey guys, I want a pay rise, because I was building kitchens faster than any other cabinet maker out there other than Baz, right? I was building them better, faster, better finishing, everything, to the point where I knew I was making them a lot more money. Yeah. And I wanted to get paid what I was worth. I was on $8 an hour building kitchens, when tradesmen were on about $15 an hour building kits, I was like, that didn't make sense to me. And I was like, I know there's an apprenticeship scheme here, and every 2,000 hours you get like a 50% pay rise and all that. And I'm like, I wasn't having a bar of it. So after quite a few, conversations and quite heated conversations, and me basically saying, look, if I don't get the pay rise, I'm leaving. They come out of the office a few hours later and said to me, hey, we're going to sign you off on your apprenticeship a year early, and you're going to go and head up a new division within the company. And I actually ended up getting paid more than Baz, right?
Oh,
and that was year 3 into my 4-year apprenticeship, which taught me one thing. And there was a reason why I got it, because first of all, I could back up everything I was saying. Right, I didn't just do it out of I feel like I should have it. It was like, it's clearly evident that I have what it takes here, and the result was clearly evident to that. But it taught me that if you work your ass off and you don't have to conform to the current rules necessarily. I was always pushing the barrier, pushing, which is something that I do a lot right now in all businesses, and one of the keys to my success that I've been able to have is that. But it got to a point, man, where I was like, this sucks. I'd go home and start crying. Literally, I was thought I'd gotten what I wanted. I was the highest paid in the factory. I was getting bonuses, and I just didn't like it. I was like, this is terrible. I hate it. I hate turning up. Like, because here's why. I only seen what was possible based off what my bosses were having, right? They had a nice Holden Ute. They had a nice house. They had the factory and the business. And I was like, I want more than that. Like, this isn't it for me. Like, I can't have that as the
pinnacle of success. Yeah.
Yeah, like even though I hadn't known any other successful people, so I didn't grow up around any successful people. My bosses were the most successful people I knew, because it was come from a real small town of a couple of thousand people. Mm-hmm. And I decided to, after 4.5 years too long, I decided to say, look, I'm hanging up the boots, and I decided to go to university. I was like, I'm going to go to university. I'm going to go study to be a fitness trainer or a physiotherapist. So I went and started a degree at the Waikato Uni. I was a year into that degree. At the end of the year, I came over to the Gold Coast here in Australia for one Christmas, for a New Year's. I found out you could do online certifications to be a personal trainer in like 6 weeks. And I'd literally just had a uni holiday starting from November all the way till like March. So I was literally over here, and I was like, you know what? I want to come and live here in the Gold Coast. And I didn't know anyone. I met someone through another person I know, and the universe just said, hey, man, my apartment's just come up for rent, and it was right in Surface. And I said, oh, cool. When are you looking to get someone in? He goes, I need someone in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, no, because I still had a month left of my holiday. And I just said, you know what, fuck it. I flew home a few days later, packed up my house and took my golf clubs and suitcase and moved to the Gold Coast and started my life. I worked at a nightclub, and then I did a personal training cert online, right? So I was a qualified personal trainer before my mates even went back to university for the second year, and I was already in a gym earning money. So again, it's that whole pushing the barrier. I was like, it comes across as impatience to a lot of people. But for me, I'm like, why would I stand in a fucking long line if I don't have to? Yeah. And it's not going to hurt anyone else, and I'm not going to hurt anyone else's feelings around it, right? But why would I? Like we're in Bali at the airport, and this huge line. And I'm like to my wife, I'm like, Emily, let's go. She goes, where are we going? And I said, just follow me and just take my lead. I walked down another aisle all the way down, past like 200 people in a line. And I walk up to one of the guys, and you had to go through, it was the Indonesian line. There was no one in it. I just walk up to the guy, and I had $20 in my hand. I lit under my passport, slid it over the desk. Now, I don't recommend bribing officials, government officials. But I slid $20. He took my passport and Emily's passport, stamped it, and we walked out.
Yeah.
I was being resourceful. I was finding a way to get somewhere quicker.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt anyone else's feelings.
No.
But it's an ethos that I've certainly got ingrained in me. And I mean, we know each other for a few years, and that's definitely something that, I'm consistently always trying to do is get somewhere faster. That's why when I bought a jet ski, I had to buy the fastest jet ski.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to know there was a faster jet ski on the water than me because I wanted a fast one.
Yeah, sure.
But why would you buy a slow one when you can buy a fast one?
Yeah, that's right.
Why would you buy a slow motorbike when you can buy a fast motorbike?
Well, I agree. Exactly.
Yeah, I know, of
course. So do you think that comes from upbringing? Do you think that comes from school? Do you think that comes from, being competitive in sports, or where do you think that comes from? Because so many of these points you're ticking off, RE school or buying the fastest, or if you're ever playing a game on a simulator, I want to get the fastest car. I don't want to be held back. I don't want to be in the group. I just want to be the first, and I don't want to win by just a nose. I want to win by a lap. You know what I mean? So is that an ingrained habitual attribute, or is it something that's learned, or what do you think it is?
I done a little bit of exploration, obviously, around all of this stuff because, again, sometimes it can come across as impatience. Because my mum always said I was impatient, and I could definitely see how you could come to that conclusion.
Yeah,
right. And there probably is levels of impatience wrapped in it, of course, as well.
Yeah.
But for me, because I come from nothing, like literally anything that I've ever wanted, I've had to work for. Now to my mother's credit. So when I was 4 years old, we lived in a caravan park here in Sydney, right, in Australia. So I was born in Australia. Most people think I was born in New Zealand, but I was born in Australia. And when I was 4, I remember playing outside, sunny day, and my mum yells out, Brett. And I'm like, oh, God, what have I done? Right? Because I was a cheeky kid. I run into the caravan, and standing in front of me was my dad, and he was holding my mum, and he was about to throw her through the caravan window. And he'd just gotten back from the pub. He was an alcoholic. And she screams out to me and tells me to run across the road and get some help. So the last thing I remember was running across the road, and that's sort of where the memory sort of faded there. But we left, my mum, sister, and my mum, and myself, jumped on a plane to move to New Zealand, right, when I was 4 years old. And from that moment, I took it upon myself that I'll be the man in the family. Like I'll be the man, whatever I've got to do.
Yeah.
And I'll be the hunter-gatherer, right? I'll be that. I'll do whatever I have to do, and that's where competitive nature sort of came in. But what I thought used to be like I want to beat everyone else, I actually quickly realized that I just wanted to beat me, because I actually really like losing.
Yeah.
I really actually like losing, or I like it when someone beats me at something, because then there's like, I was the kid that was, I was the cricket captain. I was the rugby captain, right? I was the golf captain. So I was really good at a lot of stuff, right? So there really wasn't a lot of competition for me and in a lot of the things that I was doing. But when someone did step up and they were better than me, or someone was better at the stroke and swimming than me, I'm like, oh my God, like for me, even talking about it, I get excited when people are better than me, because I want to go and master. How can I learn? What do you know that I don't know? Yeah. How do you do it better than I do? Because I want to learn from that. And I'm hungry for always learning. Yeah. Because I quickly found it wasn't about I wanted to be better than other people. It was I wanted to be the best that I could be.
And I suppose when you're winning, just something that popped in my head, over time, if you're the number one salesperson in any office or any industry, it gets boring. It really does. And because there's no challenge, there's no one pushing you. It's just yourself. And it's very, very easy to fall back into, well, no one's going to beat me, so what's the point? You know what I mean? Yep. Very, very easy, and be complacent. And then, but, I literally just thought then in when you were saying then, it's like, if you're winning all the time, it's kind of boring. And that might seem quite strange to a lot of people, but if you go to the casino and every hand you played, you won, you wouldn't play for that long. You wouldn't. I don't like the casino myself. I'm not a gambler, but I hate losing money. But if you,
I don't mind a bet.
I hate the one thing I don't like losing money. The winning. If I won 10 grand or lost $100, I'd be pissed
like
at $100.
Poker, right?
Yeah.
And this probably feeds into this conversation that I'm saying. Like, I will play poker because I know it's me versus another person.
Yeah.
I won't play slots machines because that's like fucking rigged. That's a machine where there is zero skill. I press a button. Like that's it. That doesn't seem very skillful for me. Not a lot to learn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love learning. I've got a hunger to learn, and I've got a hunger to be the best that I can be at stuff. Right?
Yeah.
At whatever I'm doing, I try and be the best that I can.
Yeah. Nice. So from school into an apprenticeship that you're quite good at, obviously, when you start to beat Baz, that must have been quite a good feeling.
Well, I never bet Baz. I have to give Baz credit. He was he's still at the factory too, by the way. I think he's got his gold Rolex watch or whatever he would have deserved after 50 years or whatever. But he was like by far the best. Like just because he was born to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't. I just taught myself to be really good. I taught myself to be good enough to tick the box that I needed to tick.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So,
and you think
Baz would spend an extra few minutes maybe sanding the edges of a bull nose on the kitchen top, right? Where I would get it to a point where it was absolutely fine and perfect and good, but you could tell if you put Baz's next to mine, you could see the very slight difference. But if you took Baz's away, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, sure.
So I would, and I think this is an inbuilt radar within me, like. And I know this is how I passed high school. And, like I was top in a number of my classes. And it used to piss my sister off because she used to study. The night before, I'd read some notes, try and do as much memory as I could. And I'd end up fucking doing really well, right? Because I'd do just enough that I needed to do.
Yeah.
Like I didn't give any more if I didn't need to.
Yeah.
I'd do just enough.
Yeah. And at school, you can get away with it, but in life, you can't.
Yeah, in some cases, I guess you can.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like in business, if you do just enough everywhere, then you're going to end up
stay in business.
Holes. Yeah, that's right. You've got to go in above and beyond. It's the whole, do you run past the 100-meter finish line?
Yeah.
And assume you're running 110 meters?
Yeah.
Or do you punch through the boxing bag or do you stop right at the start of it?
That's right. So how do you get into digital marketing? Because obviously Claxton, you guys were, award-winning agency up there on the Gold Coast for Australia and New Zealand. What was the award there? Best newcomer or was it best agency across?
So 2018, we were the best social media agency of the year in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah,
and
nice one.
2019, we actually we took the Marketing Excellence Award in Australia.
Beautiful.
Right? Which is fantastic because now we represent the Global Business Awards in the marketing category. We were listed on Deloitte Fast 50 Fast Starters last year too, and we just made the AFR Fast Starter list this year. So, but how I got there?
What led you into digital marketing? Because digital marketing seems a bit of a far away from cabinet making.
Yeah, well, if you actually look at it, it's quite interesting how it segues. So I went into the fitness space, so I became a personal trainer, and then I uncovered the online world, and I was like, I walked past my flatmate's computer one day, and she had a ebook up. I didn't know what an ebook was, but it was a PDF document with pictures of a dude exercising. I was like, what's that? She goes, it's a workout program I just bought. And I'm like, I was walking out the door to go and train clients at the time, and she's like, I just bought it, $37. I was like, what the? Like it changed my life because then I became obsessed with how do you create a product and sell it online, and that's where I learned everything that you needed to learn in online marketing. That was back in 2008, really, when it was sort of starting to gain traction, and I was training clients in the mornings from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come home for lunch, spend an hour coding up website, and then go back to train clients in the afternoon, get home at 9 p.m. and I'll be coding websites and sales pages and learning everything, learning copywriting, all the things that I had to do to be able to sell products online. And I just became really good at it, became really good at lead generation, became really good at marketing, had a natural knack for psychology and persuasion influence, which really fed nicely into understanding marketing. And, it was probably the first time where I realized that I really love to learn. Like school gave me an environment that made me feel like I didn't like to learn. I just realized I wasn't learning the shit I wanted to learn. Like you give me a psychology book back at high school, I would have been like mental over it. I would have loved it because I was just like, this stuff is so eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
And
human behavior, purchasing decisions,
and then the ability to be able to do that, because I always had the gift of the gab. So, I could naturally talk to someone and be able to, sell anything. Where I was faced with a different opportunity here was like to sell with the written word. This is before video content really came out as well.
That's right.
How can I write articulate words that people don't even know anything about me, a product or anything, and became
into that buying decision.
Became obsessed with it. Generated hundreds of thousands of leads. Used Facebook. Spent millions of dollars on Facebook advertising. And business owners were like, "Hey, how are you doing that?" I was like, "Oh, let me show you." So I coached and mentored. Set up a consulting company, coaching and mentoring business owners on how to use advertising to generate sales and leads in their business. And that sort of led to, for about 2 years, people going, "Can you just do it for me? Can you do it for me?" I'm like, no, I don't want to do it for you, because I was too busy doing it for my own businesses, right?
Yeah.
And we used Facebook ads. We built the fastest growing fitness franchise at its time, the fastest growing fitness college at its time, all using online marketing and what I'd learned from social media. There's a lot of lessons within all of that of how we're able to do it, but it's
and especially when we're talking with an ever-changing landscape, right? So it's not as if what you learned in 2008 all the way through to 2018 is still relevant and even exists in 2020. So in the last 10 years, how have you kept up with so many changes? Obviously I'm not really in that tech online space at all. Maybe in the future there might be a space for that. I'm sure we're going to have a conversation at some point. And we have actually worked together previously. I forgot about that business that we started up, and completely forgot about that one. And how do you stay ahead of the curve? Because obviously when you're on the curve, it's ever changing. So is it even possible to stay ahead of the curve and to be ahead of your competitors if sort of the same information is being passed down at the same time?
Yeah, so here's what I assume this industry to be like, right? So I went from the consulting to, okay, I'm going to open up a digital marketing agency. It sort of had a few transitions. It was digital marketing to then Facebook marketing only, and then now we're what we call a digital growth agency. We don't build ads, we build businesses. Okay, that's a very, very important distinction. We don't build ads, we build businesses, and there's a number of reasons behind that and why, and because there's a lot of people out there who say they can run ads, and anyone can go into a Facebook account or a Snapchat account, any ad account that there is in any social platform, and run some ads. Whether you do it well or not is another question, right? Mm-hmm. So I love building businesses, and instead of me going out to build 1,000 businesses, I get to build 1,000 businesses through our business, right? But how do you change? How do you stay on the cutting edge? By just staying on the cutting edge. Like, how do you know what the weather is today? Just go and do a news report. Go and read the news report. Mm-hmm. You'll see, right? Mm-hmm. So it's you got to pick an industry, and you got to really understand the industry. You got to see where the industry is at, where it's moving towards. Make your own predictions. Like the digital marketing industry is changing, fairly rapidly. Not, people think it's changing daily or weekly. It's not changing that fast. New opportunities arise every so often, but marketing's marketing. The way you sell someone,
that's right.
Is really the same as you would 6 years ago, 10 years, 50 years ago, right?
Yeah. Same human behaviors.
Find the problem, create the solution, have a good call to action. That's basically marketing. That's all you need to do, right? Yeah. We overcomplicate the shit. But there's reasons to overcomplicate it. But the marketing industry right now, and if we're talking about digital growth because that's what we call our business, a digital growth agency. We're pioneering our own path.
Category, almost, isn't it?
and specific industry, because there's not many businesses like us. Like I said, we don't just build an ad. We don't just put up a Facebook campaign, right? We build strategies that grow and scale your revenue, right? Based off revenue, based off cash flow, based off where do you want to grow this thing to, right? Not just, should we turn up a budget now? Should we try this? It's very well thought out. It's very strategic in what we do. But the industry is, I assume it to cake batter, right? It hasn't even been put in the oven yet. It hasn't even set. The industry is not even there's no set guidelines. It's a wild, wild west right now. There's no governing bodies. There's nothing, right? The reason why you're not sitting there on Facebook asking, what do you put in the W-2 wages and salaries field when you're doing your BAS return, is because you're not fucking doing it. Because you go to an accountant, right?
Yeah.
If you got a stiff legal letter in your inbox tomorrow morning, high chance you're not going to reply to it. You go to a lawyer. Why?
No, you definitely don't want to reply to that yourself.
Right? But then you ask yourself, why are you running your own advertising?
I have watched Suits and I've learned some stuff.
Yeah, I know enough to be way too dangerous.
That's right.
Way too dangerous.
I know enough that if I reply to this, it will not help.
Yeah, exactly. But you're like, man, and you'll lay in bed and you'll come up with 20 replies to it and you still don't know. And but the point there is, this industry is still so new, it's still so fresh. There's obviously a lot of people getting burnt out there for those reasons, because anyone can call themselves a marketing agency today.
Yeah, same as coaching.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So how do you stay on the cutting edge? By being on the cutting edge. Simple as that. By getting results, by seeing what's happening. We've got clients doing their best months through this whole COVID stuff, which is crazy.
Amazing.
Well, we got one of our e-com clients just did their best month ever by double. Literally did over 1.6 million in their e-com store. Having to battle with countries shutting shipping down and all of those things, not knowing if stock was going to come through, sitting up at 10 o'clock at night talking to them about, what about this? Let's rethink this, blah, 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 right? Strategy. But my point there is, because when you've got results, you can sort of see how things happen. Like if you're an e-commerce store and you want to do $1 million a month, go to people who have had success in it.
Yeah.
Don't go to your mate Bob who's got a knick-knack store who does $2,000 a month in sales. I know, no disrespect to Bob with his knickknacks, but it's like you got to stay on the cutting edge and surround yourself with people who are on the cutting edge. It's the easiest part.
Yeah.
Right. Finding in one of our opening things we're talking about is find your sources of truth. It doesn't have to be the 50,000 websites out there. Pick a few experts that you truly believe in and know. Even pay them as mentoring or whatever you need to. The easiest thing for me though is I'm getting to a point where, and even if I didn't have any agencies, right? So we've got 2 different agencies now. A brother and sister agency. But even if I didn't have any agencies, my advice to every advisory client that I will have moving forward and have had for some time will be, you should not be doing your marketing. You need to hire experts to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the difference is, it's not just, place an ad, wait for the leads to come in, call the leads. It's, you can't run a business like that anymore. You just can't. Same as you can't open up a fish and chip shop on the corner and just be guaranteed success like mum and pop was. It just doesn't work. Like the business landscape has evolved and, become more sophisticated, where even a pretty simple video ad for your 30-second ad actually needs to be produced pretty well, or else it just looks like shit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to spend $1 million on it, but you need to spend some money on it, because otherwise it just looks like shit.
Absolutely. I've been harping on for the last few years, right, on cafes and restaurants. And I hate the whole "I told you so" type thing, because I don't wish this upon anyone, but I've been harping on that cafes and restaurants need to be building a database. Every customer that comes to you and pays money needs to go in your database.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
need their email address and phone number. And if you need to give them 10% off or 5% off for their order to first time, it's a cost of getting that person. Because right now, over the last if you've been following basic online marketing and nurturing them with fun things over the last 12 months, then right now you'd be able to send out a strategic email campaign that gets people to come in and support your business. Like,
absolutely.
It would. Now, I'm not saying it would save everyone, but my gosh, like I can't see how. Like I just got a text message a few hours ago from a business going, "Hey, we're open on Mother's Day." Da 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 da. It's like you've got to be in front of mind.
Yeah. Well, Peter Jackson just sent me a message. Peter Jackson literally sent me a message this afternoon. They said, what did they say? Nice shout out to Peter Jackson. Is offering you a personalised service, now back open from 12 to 4 each day, all stores this week only. Buy one, get one free. Simple. Yeah. Now, I don't need a fucking suit because I'm at home, but but, you know, I had a quote that I come up with last year. If you're not front of mind, you're left behind. You need to be at the front of people's mind, because at the end of the day, people are going to spend money, right? They're going to spend money. They can either spend it with you or someone else. It's as simple as that. Of course, you'd rather it be with you, but how do you make sure it's with you? You got to make sure that you're in front of mind without being annoying. Is there a fine line between being in front of mind, staying ahead of the game, and being annoying?
Yeah, definitely. If it all comes, because I get asked this a lot around how often should you email your contacts, or how often should you be in contact with them?
As much as I like the guy, Grant Cardone's emails is fucking annoying.
Let me ask you this. Have you unsubscribed yet?
No. I don't know why. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the authority, maybe it's the figurehead.
Because we live in a world of noise now, and it's easy just to let the noise go now. We used to send out an email, right, to our database, and we were, a few 100,000 people, right? We would get death threats fucking sent back to us because they're like, "Oh, I don't want to receive this shit." It's like, whoa, okay. Like, you can click the unsubscribe link. It's okay. It's only an email.
All right, we'll get it from Greater Blue if that helps.
Yeah. But the reality is you should be emailing and contacting your clients as often as you feel you should contact your clients to get whatever message you need to across. Like, if you're really into something, chances are you're probably not going to unsubscribe. It's like, like we're used to social media where someone could post 20 times a day and you're not going to go, fucking stop posting.
Oh, you did get shut down on Facebook. I remember that night you got shut down on that Facebook post 100 in a day and you got blocked.
Yeah, well, I tried to do 100 lives in 24 hours. I did 66, I think it was, before I got shut down on everything. But here's the reality, right? I actually did get a few messages from people going, "Mate, can you stop going live?" Because I popped up every time for them. Yeah. But it created so much conversation, right? And it didn't create any enemies that I know of. And if it did, well, fuck them, because I don't care, right?
Yeah.
But the point that I make here is that there is a fine line at times. And the only time you're ever going to find the line is not by hearing someone like me or another person say you should only do it 3 times a day or 3 times a week. You got to test it and see what your feedback is, because your audience might want to hear from you every day, but they might only want to hear from me every 2 days.
Yeah.
So, beware of where
there's no blanket rules either.
There isn't.
Yeah.
And when you understand that there is no actual set, like, when you see someone with a framework or they're creating their 10 steps to wealth, before I really understood this game, I thought that, those must be the 10 steps. Like, that's the universal 10 steps that everyone must be guided by. But then I'm like, wait on, this other person's got 10 steps and they're a bit different.
Well, this one's got 93. This one's only got 3. I'll do the 3. That seems way easier.
Yeah. That's right. Path of least resistance. Right? But beware where you're taking information from, I think is important. And I always say that about me. Don't believe me. Just try some of the stuff I might say and see what it does for you. Yeah. But it's as often as you want to, and whatever your product or service really is. For a lot of people, daily is fine. Like, I learned this when we did a survey, right? So we sent out a survey and we had 4,500 people reply to the survey, which is a large data set, right, of people who went through 10 questions and gave us answers back to it.
Yeah, wow.
One of the questions was, how often would you like to hear from us? Right? And the results were actually quite shocking. So we asked, hear from us once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week, 2 times a week, every day. Mate, like 80% of our leads chose every day or twice a week.
Wow.
Like, holy shit, because we're only emailing weekly, if that, at the time. I'm not even serving my audience how they want to be served.
Wow.
Because I heard someone complain, or I got a death threat from an email, and it converted me to not do that anymore.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy to do that because obviously you don't want to upset anyone, and you're more likely to move away from pain than move towards pleasure.
But I was upsetting more people by not giving them what they really wanted.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, wow. Interesting. Obviously, let's move on to the new $500,000 in stimulus with your new
right.
Let's talk about that one.
Yeah. So 3 weeks ago now, we, in the midst of COVID, we wanted to, we've always been wanting to be able to bring a product or service to the market that could cater to the smaller business, because Claxon, we have certain requirements and businesses have to be at a certain level. And it's not for the real small business who they can only afford a couple of $1,000s a month. We're even though our service for Claxon is far more affordable than it would take for you to build out your own marketing team, there's just a few requirements to get in there. And with COVID, obviously smashed majority of small businesses. So we decided to bring this product to market probably 12 months sooner than we had initially planned. And we created an entire different company, a sister agency to Claxon called Pure AdWords. So Pure AdWords is a specialized Google platform advertising business where we work with paid search, Google Shopping and YouTube and anything basically Google related. So the Google advertising platform. And part of that, what we wanted to do is to be able to play our part as a small business, trying to help other small businesses as well. We released the $500,000 marketing stimulus. So we are going to be working with, over the next 6 months, up to 80 businesses for free, which we feel is quite a big statement, and it's quite a big initiative that we're rolling out. And unfortunately, we can't help everyone, but we'll be able to help many. It's of course it's needs to turn into a business as well, because it needs to be funded, right? Yeah. So we're hoping we do a great job for a lot of businesses, and they'll have no reason to not continue.
Yeah, nice one. Nice. That's pretty amazing. I always like to support people that support others, especially in a time like this, being in business for 15 years or like myself personally, or still in business, but and across multiple industries. It's not just a singular angle. You see, similar to yourself, you've been from the bottom and grown the way through from the carpentry and cabinet making and that sort of manufacturing process. Then you're obviously the PT and online, and obviously into digital space now. So what do you think, outside of AdWords and Pure AdWords and Claxon, is there any secret to the success you guys have created over the last number of years?
I think determination is one. Prior knowledge in a marketplace is two.
Yeah.
I didn't decide to, just build a business that I had no idea about, right? So I'd been in that, you could literally say I'd been 10 years in the online world, which is really from the beginning of time in this world. So I was bringing a lot of pre-knowledge through as well, which has enabled us to really navigate, what we're doing now. And, I've got, a business partner who as well, Daniel, and, we work really well in our own remits and things that we're really good at. And, it's always, let's call it easier when there's more people with skin in the game to make something really work.
Yeah, sure.
A good strong partnership is very important.
Hard to find good partners, that's for sure. I failed many.
Like any relationship,
Yeah.
Like any relationship, you have your ups and downs, and you have your butt heads, and it's about how can you communicate through that. That's all it comes back to, is the ability to be able to communicate effectively and be okay with not agreeing. Like, it's okay to not agree with someone about their thought, but then you like, well, I'm always, again, this goes back to, I don't mind losing because there's always something to learn. I don't have to be right in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I want to know why I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, fair
enough. I'm happy to be wrong. Just tell me why. Show me why I am, and then I'm like, oh, shit, my bad. Yeah, I didn't see that. Good. Wow, great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't
actually like to be proven wrong in a nice, in that way. I like to be proven wrong because we don't know everything. We don't know everything before we start, even though I've got which side I'm on, the book there. So I've got
it is right now.
So best-selling author. But I guarantee before you started that journey, you didn't know all about the written word and writing on paper and, conveying a story. And then you would have worked with someone to develop that process and develop that story all the way through. So I definitely love to be proven wrong in the right way. Obviously, no one likes to be proven wrong in the wrong way. But definitely,
I don't want to be bullied or made to feel like I'm a piece of shit. But
demoralized over it. Yeah,
I am very open to evidence that I currently cannot see.
Yeah, that's right. I was listening to something about this whole. There's certain things that we do know, but there's also certain things that I was listening to Chris Voss, actually, the FBI negotiator. I don't know if you've seen much of his stuff, but listening to his things, and he basically said that whenever you go into the negotiations. So he was the world lead negotiator for the FBI globally, and his main focus was not so much terrorism, but kidnapping all around the world. Incredible story in an incredible way. But he basically says that no matter what negotiation you go into, it can be relationships. He reckons there's about 3 to 5 negotiations on the low end every single day. And no matter what you go into, you need to make sure that you understand that you do not know everything that they don't, and they don't know everything that you don't. And there might be some things that you know that I don't, but there's also some things that I know that you don't either. And that's how that negotiation actually starts.
Of course.
And part of negotiation, obviously, with partnerships is not necessarily the negotiation. The enemy is not the other person. The negotiation, essentially, the enemy is the situation on which we need to navigate around and how to find a perfect median. And I was like, wow, it's so interesting, just on that play of words of the enemy is not the other person. The enemy, essentially, the adversary is the situation that we need to work out how to get through. So partnerships is one thing, I
was very well equipped prior to starting a business partnership because I've got a wife, right? And I wanted to learn how do I negotiate and navigate and communicate with her. Like, and I've always been inquisitive or curious type of person. And I love the whole thing of psychology and why we do what we do and why we say what we say and why do you act the way you act when this happens. Like that shit intrigues me, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn ways on how to best communicate with people and understand. It's the whole seek first, understand principle. That's something that's been a real strong guiding light for me as well, to try and understand from someone else's perspective first why they're saying what they're saying.
Yeah.
And know how someone really handles confrontation. Some people run through a wall, some people stop, take note, and others run away.
Yeah.
It's like learning how other people act and behave when they're under pressure. Because it doesn't matter how good a communicator you are, when you're under pressure, you act a specific way. Right? You could be an ace communicator up until that moment where you feel like your back's against the wall and you're just going to go with your default response.
Mike Tyson says, all plans go out the window when you get punched in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Everything you think you've learned, it was like you look at a lot of sports people who, they've trained, especially MMA fighters or something, they've trained like Cowboy. I just heard him say the other Cowboy Cerrone, where he just got smoked by Conor McGregor. He was like, literally, he goes, man, I walked into that ring and I wasn't on. I just wasn't on. I just knew that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And he knew where he was at. He was affected. He defaulted. He'd done weeks and weeks and weeks of training. He would have been at his peak in the training, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn. But for ourselves, we just need to be aware of ourselves as well, because I know I can react certain ways when I'm under a little bit of pressure. And so knowing how I act and knowing how someone else in a relationship acts, it's like I then at least have the awareness to know that, all right, Brett, you're under pressure, you're probably going to act a little bit irate. And if you do, here's what's going to happen, because I'll act back to that. Because when you do this, if you're prepared for this argument, go for it, mate. Yeah. But know that you're about to enter into one.
Yeah. Predictability.
Like, my mum told me when I was a kid, don't touch the electric fence. I'm like, why? And then I touched it and it's got a zap. I'm like, I know why.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that if my hand and electric fence meet, it's going to go off.
Yeah.
I know if I say something, this is how someone's generally going to, like, everyone can bait people they know. Like, you could have your wife fucking from 1 to 10 in 20 seconds. You could have her 1 to level 10 in 20 seconds by just saying a couple of things, and you know it. So you just got to be aware of, why we're doing it, why we're saying that stuff.
You said something really interesting just before in regard to setting up businesses or getting into business. And you said, obviously with Claxton, you had a very broad understanding, very succinct understanding, but a broad bandwidth of knowledge in the industry. Do you think the reason why a lot of businesses fail is because they don't actually understand their own industry to start with? Like, for instance, someone might like clothes, or someone might like going to the gym, so they set up a gym. They have no idea how the operational sort of things, the finances, marketing, sales, lead generation, closing business, running a business outside of mopping the floors and keeping the lights on. Do you think that's why a lot of businesses fail? Just because they, for instance, cooking seems to be, or a cafe seems to be probably the hottest. I like food, so I'll start up a restaurant.
They'll spend 50 to 100 grand on a fit out. They'll take the last money from their parents or themselves that they've saved forever, and they'll go and start this cafe. They'll create a menu. It'll be cool. But they haven't even done a cash flow forecast. They don't know how much money they need to be making, how many meals that means each week, how many meals that means each day.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's so much like business. The biggest thing is it's so easy to sort of start a business now. You can have an idea, put a few posts up on social, and you got your first few customers, and you think, fuck, this thing's going to go off like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like I went for a walk in the weekend with my wife, and we're walking around, and she must hate the walks that we go on. Sometimes I just have a business download for like an hour. She's like, I'm like, thank you so much. That was a good chat. And she goes, I didn't really even speak. You just bloody didn't start talking. I'm like,
you guys have been married to an entrepreneur, eh? I don't think enough of us put ourselves in our partner's position, because I am not a very good listener. When I've got a brain dump to get out, man, I just go, I talk to my mum, and I just literally speak at her for an hour driving home from an appointment. And normally if I get a sale, I'll call her because I'm, full of adrenaline, high as a kite, let's go. And
right.
And then I just, not high as a kite, wrong choice of words, but just really enjoying that moment. And then brain dump on her, and I'm like, well, I feel better now. By the way, how's things? Oh yeah, good, thanks. See you later.
But it's the cafe industry is a good one to really point out, because they love food. Here's what I feel a lot of businesses should do, is they need to partner with entrepreneurs who know how to grow a business.
Yeah.
Like, I want to, and I think I probably will, I'll partner with someone who owns a cafe or a restaurant, because I know that I could go in and bolt on what I know in business and process and procedures and ways of filling that place up, consistently getting a waiting list. But I don't want to go in and I don't want to have nothing of, other than eating, I don't want to have nothing to do with creating the menu or, serving people or doing any of the operational stuff. I got no. But a lot of these business owners need to do that because they don't have the intelligence required.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be in a partnership with someone.
Yeah.
It's actually, would you rather have 50%
that's right.
of a business doing 100 grand a month, Would you rather have 100% of a business doing fucking $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month? Like the reality is there is a path to least resistance. Sometimes it seems counterintuitive because you're like, oh, what? I've got to give a piece of the business up.
Giving equity. I know I've had to do that a few times, and giving equity away is a very, especially if you've come up with the idea, it's your baby. It's a very personal thing to do, and usually
you need to remove that. Like equity, I feel isn't even the right deal for people unless you're going to sell a business. What do you want equity for?
Yeah. Good point.
Like why? I've got 20% of that company that makes no money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need my ego to say, oh yeah, I've got 20 companies. Shit, like it sounds a lot, but what if you all of us? 19 of them they aren't making any money. They're actually negative each month.
Yeah. In fact, I got to put in $1,000 a month to all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my actual business. I need to fund them all.
One is covering the other 20.
But here's the other part, right? Is if you're looking at it and you go. Forming partnerships, because you're right. People don't want to give up equity. Don't. Just give me a percentage of gross revenue.
Yeah.
Right. Give me 4% of your gross revenue. I'll come in and we'll grow your business.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer for people. Why would you not?
Yeah.
Right. Assuming that someone can deliver. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
All of a sudden, the emotional component of I've got to give up 20% of the business. Like you're giving up 20% that makes nothing anyway. Like I don't want 20% of it.
And also when you start, remember the business is worth nothing, right? So even if you give up 80% with a clause in there, don't get, and what I find a lot of, and I've had this with one business partnership that we just dissolved, where it was so fucking micro, hadn't got one customer, hadn't sold one thing, and we're dealing with legal and numbers, and I'm like, fuck me. Can we sell some shit around here? Because it doesn't matter what we're talking about right now, it's meaning nothing. We flew all the way overseas, spent a week there, and we're working out micro. I was like, wow. Haven't dropped a piece yet. Haven't made $1. In fact, we spent money to get here, and we're talking about little tiny percentages here, there, and everywhere, and what happens at this part. And it's like punching shadows. How long do you want to punch shadows for? I'm punching shadows.
Back to the point though, of path of least resistance, right? If there's an easier way to get a deal done, there is.
Yeah.
Right? Way easier. You don't need to give up equity. You could write into a deal that, look, if the business reaches a certain level and we do decide to sell it, then I'm entitled to X amount of equity. But until then, it doesn't matter. Like if you have to give up 10%, 20% of your business to get you past the hump and building the business and growing it so you can do what you want to do. Yeah. I mean, why would you not?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why would you not do that? It just makes so much sense.
Especially when you're using the right people that actually have done something similar to that in a similar industry, and you've never done that before, you're crazy not to. Not to. But it has to be genuine growth from the other person. Like my partner has to have done something differently with a different set of skills and a different set of, network opportunities than I have myself. Because what's the point? Yeah. Otherwise, I bring another salesperson in. Great, we've got 2 salespeople, but I need a marketing guy. You know what I mean? I need a CFO.
The same role.
Yeah.
You've got different roles. But the point of, I think there's a lot of business out there that there's a lot of opportunities. Right now, there's a lot of small businesses out there who do need help.
Yeah,
there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who could probably add value. That their downfall is delivery. You know, like I'm not a delivery guy. I don't enjoy the delivery of stuff, right? And when I say stuff, I'm just a blanket landscape of all businesses that we have. But I enjoy creating. I enjoy strategy. I enjoy solving problems. I'm really good at solving problems. I'll find the path of least resistance. I'll get us there the fastest. Like I'll use my skills that I have. I will need someone to help me though, and clean up a bit of my mess sometimes. That's just perfectly normal, right? But as long as you know where your downfalls are and you know where your upsides, it's a risk to reward ratio game, and you just go hard.
Yeah, absolutely. In finalizing everything, obviously a couple of different businesses. What 3 non-negotiables that every business must have either before they start or very, very quickly.
Yeah. I definitely think that you need to do a financial modeling. You know, you don't have to have it to get started or to do it, but you need to really sit down and see if your business is even viable.
Yeah.
You know, like we look at a lot of businesses that come to us and they've started an e-commerce business, right? So they've built a Shopify store and they've got a product, they've already sourced the product, and we're like, put the numbers into one of our calculators that we sort of have that's fairly accurate. And we can go, mate, there's no way you're going to be able to turn this into a business. You might be able to start making profit when you're spending $100,000 a month in ads.
Yeah. Wow.
Because you need to reach mass scale in order for this to even be a business.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have $100,000 a month. No, well, it's if you had to sat down and maybe looked at some numbers and looked at your margins and looked at cost of product, you wouldn't have gone and bought 8,000 pairs of shoes or something, or you wouldn't have bought. Like we had a customer come to us and they bought $200,000 worth of product. I thought it was a cool product, but their product was literally like 5 times more expensive than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Had a few nuances. It took us like 6 months to get it profitable, and we were able to sell all their product out for them. But it was a big investment from them, and it wasn't a guaranteed one. Like, I mean, it's people need to look at it, the financial economics first.
Yeah.
And I'll put my hand up and go, when I started my first couple of businesses, I didn't do that. Because I had so much money coming in, I didn't need a cash flow. I was like, fuck, I got money in the bank. Okay, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to do that. Like, I just had so much cash flow coming in, right? Yeah. And it was like 90% profit because the only expenses were really, ads and and some team, right? The team, but it was digitally provided. So at that time, and then when we built our franchise and all of those things, I didn't have a cash flow because I just had cash. Yeah. But when you're tight on cash, it is the most important thing ever.
You better have that,
right?
It's crippling.
Yeah, and if you're in a partnership, you need to understand that as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's definitely number one is making sure you understand whether or not you even have a chance in business.
Yeah.
You don't need to know whether or not it's a unicorn, but you need to know if you've got a chance.
Yeah. The same as cafes are a great example on food prices and food costs, right? So they say, we buy something for $3 and sell it for $6. It's not a fucking retail shop. That's not the cost of goods. Like you need a little bit more margin than that. You mean like there's wages and overheads and staff and production and wastage and man, you need, down the road there's this cafe and it's not a very good one. I don't even know how the doors are still open, to be honest. Although there's some Harley Davidsons parked out the front twice a week, so maybe there's something that. But they're selling a bacon egg roll for $4. Now there's $1 in that.
Yep.
And a coffee for $2. There's 50 cents in that. Yep. So $1.50, mate. You need to turn over some serious bacon egg rolls with coffees.
Yeah.
To keep a door open.
We had an online store come to us doing about $1 million a month in revenue. And it was all through SEO and all through their website, that just organic. Yeah. So that had been in business for a long time. And I looked at that, 10% margins. Basically, it come down to we really needed to sell with an advertising dollar, right? Not even including a service fee, but for them to even get a positive return on ad spend, we needed to sell their products for like $2.50, like a cost per acquisition of $2.50 of ad spend to sell a $20, $30, $40 bloody product. I was like, there's no way that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you don't have enough margin in the product.
Yeah.
But you're just lucky it's happening organically because you don't have cost of marketing. Yeah. Like, that's why they do $1 million a month in gross, which is exciting to say to people.
Yeah, it means not much.
Yeah. You probably end up with like $40,000 at the end of the month.
Yeah, exactly.
By the time you take out, everything. Yeah, it's crazy because I'm talking gross margin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, and then also, net and gross is very, very different.
Very different. Yeah. Just because you can buy a hat for $50, right? So it costs you $50 and you sell it for $100. You haven't made $50.
No, you haven't.
Right. there's another $50 that you need to account for. What did it cost you to do that? What did it cost you for shipping and or package and handling and administerial and team and operations costs and your storage and blah, blah. Like there's associated costs to all of this shit.
Well, $9.90 is straight for GST. So that's, you're at $91 already, right?
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. So that's my first one is that.
Financial model,
Second is the marketing strategy.
Oh, what, sorry?
So a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Which takes into account, the product positioning. How is it going to be positioned? How is it going to be priced? And where is it going to be sold? Marketing is huge. And then, of course, a team. At least do an organizational chart. Like at least map out what your potential business could look like in 12 months. Sit down and go, okay, so here's what we'll need. We'll need a fulfillment department. Okay. Right now, that's me. Cool. Okay. Then if we get to a certain level, when will we need to bring on a fulfillment admin, or when will I need to bring in an admin?
Yeah.
Like at what stage can we commercially, and this is why financial cash flow is important, is because you can then take into account that, when we're doing $20,000 a month or $10,000 a month, I can actually now bring on an admin who can then take this away from me. And, so it's just planning, but it all starts with the financial document because everything's guided by that.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a bottomless pit and you're happy to just throw money at it, but that's not building a business. It's just funding your hobby.
Yeah, that's a hobby, not a business. Exactly. And going back to your early self, what would be some advice you'd give yourself 20 years ago?
20 years ago. 20 years ago, what would I have said to myself back then? Other than buy Amazon and fucking Tesla and stock.
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy
into Amazon and buy into any bank, you're all good.
I think for me, to tell myself that I'm on the right path and everything that's happening is happening, right now for the right reason, because it is, and there's no other. Don't even worry about why it is or isn't. It's because it is, and nothing can change.
Yeah.
That's been such a guiding light for me, is that everything's happening exactly how it should happen right now because it is.
Yeah. Nice.
Right. Like, if I had sort of had a bit more of that back then, I probably wouldn't have taken certain knocks as personal as I probably did.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to, I would always try and solve the problem. And sometimes some problems don't need to be solved. They get solved throughout the problem, right? Which is quite a tongue twister and mind bender, but it's okay not to have an answer for everything, but I always had to have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
There always had to be a reason.
Yeah. That's part of the certainty of, because you want to make sure that you're in control, right? Because when you're out of control, it's very
well, not even so much control. It's more I just wanted to know. I wanted to learn from it. How can I learn from it? But you learn from it by actually letting it be and learning from it.
And then reflecting, and then you'll know.
Yeah. And, it's... and I think another thing that I'll give myself advice on would be to build relationships, like really pay attention to the value of relationships.
Yeah.
Like really pay attention to it. Like, I've always been a person who generally in most cases is sort of I'll start to build relationships. Like I'll sort of start a conversation and then I'm like, well, now I'll probably expect some reciprocity coming back, or, in order for me to, why should I always be the person just reaching out or sending a message or calling or trying to connect with? And I probably missed out on a fair few strong opportunities that I could have had by not pursuing relationships that I wanted to pursue due to my own self ego, probably. So the value of relationships.
Yeah, nice. And for those that are out there that want to get in touch, what's the best way to get in touch with you, man?
Mate, you can go on any of the socials, just write Brett Campbell. But you can go to brettcampbell.com.au, go check out there. You'll be able to link back to anything. Check out a podcast and you name it. If you want to find out, actually, I'm assuming you're going to be posting this fairly soon, is if you are a small business and you have been affected over the COVID period, head to pureadwords.com.au and click on the marketing stimulus tab, fill out an application, and hopefully you get selected. So
easy, man.
See if we can help you.
Beautiful. Well, mate, I've known you for over a decade now. I just worked it out. And Dan for about 15 odd years. I know, crazy. Eh? Well, I've been in Adelaide for 9 years, so that's, it's been longer than that. Yeah, crazy.
Holy hell.
So
right, that's way long.
So it's definitely been amazing to watch you on the other side, grow with, which I remember we had conversations when the start of Claxton, and obviously when I saw Pure AdWords come out, I thought that was pretty amazing to actually give back to communities and to small business owners, because there's a lot of guys out there hurting at the moment. I saw something this morning that there's about 800,000 small businesses that were cash flow tight pre-COVID-19. So I can only imagine what that would be like now. Maybe cash flow dead, potentially, especially if they're going to have job seeker to pay out for 4 weeks. But anyway, so mate, absolutely amazing to talk to you. Thanks so much. A lot of insights. There should be a ton of information in there to help people, and also about the current climate as well. Just a fresh pair of eyes and someone to speak about exactly what's going on at the moment in their eyes. We're all open to our own opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. But I definitely know some healthy conversations around that, just to breathe some light onto it. Maybe it's a view that each of us have had ourselves, or maybe it's just something that's completely different. Right or wrong, it is what it is, and I'm sure we'll find the facts through the fiction at some point, or maybe not. I'm not sure.
As Ben Shapiro says, facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, that's right. And neither does your business either. That's one thing. Your business doesn't care how you feel. The next day you still got to show up and perform. So, mate, I really appreciate the time. It's been a long time coming. We've been really trying to get onto this one for a while now. But this is going to be episode 1 in a new podcast here at Business Profit Mastery. So I appreciate it.
Awesome, mate. Let me know when she's out and we'll get some downloads.
Done. Easy, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.